Hey scrapbook friends, it's Nicole and I'm here with an album flip through. I would like to thank my channel viewer Kelly Creates for pointing out to me that it has actually been quite a while since I've done an album flip through. I have been working on several albums. I have like 6 album projects that are so close to being done, and I keep planning to finish one and share it with you, and life keeps getting away from me. So I pulled an older album. This is a trip I took to England in 2013. My sister was living there and I went to visit her. I'm going to start out by showing you that I did this in a black mica album cover. And when I ordered the spines for it, black mica was not an option. So I went with the slate. I think this was a slate gray. I don't hate it on the shelf. One of the things about having a contrasting spine on the shelf is that all you see are the little side edges of the front cover. When you have it laid out like this, I mean, it is a little bit different. It doesn't quite match. I don't think it looks terrible. And of course, when you have the album open, you don't even notice. But black mica is the color of the Sparks of Magic album. It's black with little sparklies. So this is a current spine cover. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and replace the spine on this and the other 2 albums in this series. And I have several other albums I used with this black mica. This was a album cover color that was with the old CM. And when they went out of business, I bought a whole bunch of them. And I've used them for a lot of projects. So here we go. I will admit that as I was planning my trip, one of the main things I wanted to do was use this particular logo on my title page. So I do have my page protectors on. I'll try to avoid the glare as much as I can. But yes, in fact, I did see London and I saw France. And this is just some artwork I found online. I don't even know where I found it. So I did this album several years ago. I'm not going to remember a lot of the things. All the artwork and stuff was cut with my silhouette using Make the Cut software. I don't think I can find out what the names of the fonts are. I'd have to go search through my whole computer in order to do that. But most of my fonts I have gotten for free from dafont.com, DAFONT.com. Let's see. I'll write that down for you. All right, dafont.com. They have tons and tons of free fonts that you can use. And with Make the Cut, I can just download them and use any font on my computer in my silhouette. Some work better than others. All right, so I did see London. I saw France. This is volume 1. Volume 2 is mostly, we went to the Harry Potter Studios tour. And so that will be a separate album flip through. I'll split these up. All right. So this is a layout that I love. Let's see if we can turn this light out over here. Okay, that's a little bit better. Hope that's not too dark. This is a layout that I love because I incorporated the screenshots of an email that my sister sent me, and I put a ton of journaling. So my sister is a university professor, and she was doing a semester abroad in London. And so she invited me to come. They had a house. Her family was with her. They had a house. I could stay for free. But the day that my flight came in to England, she was working. And so she sent me directions about how to find her office, how to ride the London trains from Heathrow Airport into town. And I just screenshot all of this so that I would have it in my phone, even if I didn't have international service. And then I just journaled about that. She's very, very adventurous. I am not so much adventurous. So stepped out of my comfort zone to go visit my sister. And I love this. I love that I was able to use these screenshots. I think they tell an important part of this story for me. So the first day when I went and met her, we went to the Science Museum. In here, I have a map to the museum. One of the things I like to do, I just did a strip of color, and then there's a second strip on top of it that acts as like a little pocket. Let's see if we can pull it out so you can see. All right, you see how I just put another little strip in there. So if you want to pull this out and look at this map of the Science Museum, you can. And then when you slide it back in, it just slides over this little strip. So I can put it back in. In my album, it stays put. It stays pretty on my layout where I wanted it. And so it's not exactly a pocket. and I have it like set down here so it can't go all the way to the bottom. It's not exactly a pocket, but it was a way to incorporate the park map. So I probably scrapbooked this kind of during the time that CM was going away, 2013. I don't know, might have been after CM came back, but during that, what I called the dark year when Creative Memories was gone, I just bought a whole ton of scrapbooking products from whoever. I have never been one to use only CM. And in this album, especially during this time, I wasn't using much from CM because CM wasn't around, and my feelings were hurt. I was kind of mad at them. So I do not know the names of the brands of some of these papers. If I do, I will tell you. So I just have some pictures from the Science Museum, and I used the same paper. I probably only had like 1 or 2 pieces, and that's why I just kind of had to piece it all together to make my layout work. And I, took pictures of some of the exhibits. I did journal quite a bit. Stuff here in this Science Museum down in London. And I thought this little paper with the gears and stuff was pretty cool for that. All right, so this is the house that they were renting. I love how British houses have names. Even a humble house, it wasn't like a big grand mansion, but named Wyndhurst, and just so charming. It was just a lovely little house. I journaled a little bit, took some pictures about the transportation. We did a lot of riding on the trains. We did drive places. She had a car, and this horrible roundabout that I had to take a picture of the sign because it's like 6 roundabouts that go into one roundabout. And my sister, after living in England for just a few months, was actually able to drive it. So it gives me hope for my little town, which is just starting to have roundabouts, and hopefully we will also learn how to drive it. But you see very simple layouts, and they kind of go together. Wyndhurst to Wiener House, and then this is just kind of tied in along with that. So of course, when in England, we did go to platform 9 3/4. My other sister, so this is my sister Julie, who I was staying with. My other sister Kim happened to be in London at the same time on business. And so we got to do a few things together, which was great. So this is some Harry Potter paper I had bought years ago. I think it has the 9 3/4 on here. I don't know. I can't remember the paper, but I cut this with my silhouette. And then this kind of had some of that London Hogwarts and stuff in the background. And then this was the frame. Oh, no, that's what this is. This is the frame that you get when you purchase the picture. And because I'm a scrapbooker, I always purchase the picture. So that's a fun little picture. And then just random things that we saw in London. I thought the Institute of Making. What a great name. This is St. Pancras. It's a hotel near King Cross Station, and it's what they used in Harry Potter as to be the exterior of King's Cross, although this is actually a separate hotel. Just some different pictures around London. One of the days my sister had to work. She was teaching, and so she dropped me off at the British Museum, and I just thought, a museum? She's going to be in a museum for like 3 hours? Oh my gosh. It was awesome. It was probably my favorite thing. Well, no, I had a lot of favorite things. I loved this trip to England. So very simple layouts here. You can see just a little bit of kind of designer paper on the white background, and just let the pictures kind of take center stage. And I tried to journal a lot about it. This is the Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone, I thought was awesome to get to see that. And I'm probably going to geek out as I look at some of these other pictures. I love like really, really old stuff. And so having this ancient Egyptian stuff was very cool to get to see that in there. I said, here in my journaling, I said I had a moment of guilt as I looked at all these treasures that had been removed from their native lands, until I thought about all the unrest in the Middle East and how sick I feel whenever I think of the 1,500-year-old Bamiyan Buddhas that were destroyed by the Taliban in 2001 in Afghanistan, and all my colonial guilt went away. Maybe not the most politically correct thing to admit, but you do feel a little bit of guilt, like, why have we not left this, with the people? But then it's really nice to know that some of these things have been preserved. And my husband actually did serve in Afghanistan and got to see the sites where those 1,500-year-old statues were and are no longer. So Egyptian sculpture area, Ramses II. Ozymandias by Percy by Shelley is my very favorite poem of all time. I think it's just right here. I'm not going to read you the poem, but Ozymandias is my favorite poem of all time. And this is the statue that inspired Shelley to write that poem. So again, I just have white and just kind of some of these beige and brown, just kind of museum-y looking backgrounds. Just not a lot. I mean, you see my pictures are the main focus. This one I had enlarged, and the statues are from 350 BC. Something about really, really old stuff makes me, I just geek out about it. And the British Museum had a ton of really old stuff. So some more stuff, not as old, you know, Roman Britain. And I said, perhaps because of my fascination with old things, I have a special interest in Roman artifacts in Britain. And I spent a lot of my time in this part of the museum feeling awed. So just really cool things from, you know, 2,000 years ago. I just found it so fascinating. All the treasure that they found over the years, all these hoards of treasure, made me wonder how much is still out there waiting to be discovered. But you can see all of these British Museum pictures kind of are using the same kind of style. So you can tell I'm still all in the British Museum. Use the same font. I don't think I know I didn't use the same font through my whole album like I've kind of started to do now, but through the whole British Museum, I was tying it together. I used all paper from the same paper pack. I think this is some paper that I got at Joann Fabrics years ago. It just kind of had these kind of neutral colors I thought went great with the stuff at the museum. So I said I was running out of time. My last stop was a little tucked away room full of amazing miniature carvings, including one that claims to have an actual piece of Christ's crown of thorns, which I think is this one. I thought it was pretty cool. Pretty bold claim to make. It'd be awesome if it was true. All right, then I talked about riding in the tube. I'm so not experienced. I'm not a city girl. I've never lived in a place that has public transportation. So this was after the British Museum. I said I don't have much experience with subways, so it's pretty scary for me to try and navigate on my own. But I had to plan to meet Julie across town, so I swallowed my fear and did it anyway. By the end of the week, I felt fairly confident, but not so much on my second day. So here's a little map of the London Underground. It is not this straight. You know, you guys know that. These are actually some posters in there. And, you know, this is the one that they show you what stops to get off. And this is what people say this is a map of the London Underground by an artist. So here's my little card and some pictures and just, there's my little one-day card. That must have actually been a sticker from something. So I rode the tube by myself, and then I had to walk along the Thames. Got to see Big Ben, got to see the Millennium Wheel, kind of some of these cool statues. On this one, several of my photos I did enlarge to 8 by 12. I think I've talked about this before, that a lot of times when you have an enlargement, you get an 8 by 10. But if you do the math, a 4 by 6 inch photo does not translate to an 8 by 10. The proportions are off, but it will translate perfectly to an 8 by 12. And I love the way a 12-inch photo looks on a 12 by 12 layout. So this is an 8 by 12. I get mine at Costco. I used to get them in real life. Now I have to get them from Costco, photocenter.com, but love an 8 by 12. Just for that visual impact. And then these are some little Jolie's boutique stickers. Are they called Jolie's Boutique? Jolie's, the little puffy dimensional ones, which I was excited to use. And again, some of this kind of same, I think a lot of this is the same paper pack. This one actually might be CM paper, but this is not. Julie was supposed to be done with class of 5, but we'd hoped to get to come to this choral service. So I had to go by myself. I went into this choir and got to hear them singing. The Evensong comprised of music performed by the Abbey's Boys Choir, which was neat. And once again, I did this where you could just slide the program over this strip on here. Haven't taken it out in a while. Looks like it slid down a little bit into the adhesive. All right, well, so much for that plan. Okay, there you go. So I can pull out the little program, and then I'm going to stick that down and put it back in here. Oops, I didn't put it under my page protector. So I do also sometimes do pocket pages, and we may see some of those, but just a little strip sometimes works great if you're using the regular CM pages that have the opening on the left and right. If you're using top loading pages, you might want to do like a pocket that comes in from the top. This is actually 3 4x6 photos that I took and kind of stuck together. You can kind of tell, maybe I can tell where I stuck them together. There's like a line. Oh, there's a line. So the lines are right here. I patched it together, and right here I patched it together, but you really can't tell. I thought I'd made an enlargement, but no, this was 3 pictures. I just took my camera, I went click, click, click. This was back when I was using my real camera, not my phone so much yet. All right, St. James's Park. My feet were killing me, and I was glad to sit down in the grass. And this is one of my favorite pictures of my trip to England, because I got a sunburn, right? England. I don't get sunburns when I go to Florida because I'm smart enough to wear sunscreen, but I got a sunburn going to England. Go me. Something only I could do. But it was beautiful. The weather was beautiful and sunshiny, and not at all what I was expecting from England. Tons of flowers. I was there in May, middle of May. I said it was bliss to sit in the sunshine and take my shoes and socks off, just like several other in the park were doing. Just so beautiful. I had this paper that was a really kind of a busy floral pattern, and I wanted to use it, but it just was too much to go with these photos. So I covered it over with plain white vellum. So you get the look of the paper kind of underneath here, but it didn't overwhelm the pictures. And then here I just did a little circle because we had a little squirrel that was making friends with us. I said, one of my most vivid memories of this trip, which I couldn't photograph, is of a woman I saw sitting on a bench outside the British Library. Her eyes were closed and her face was turned to the sky as if she were a flower bathing in sunshine. It was beautiful. She looked like someone who hadn't seen the sun for a while. I wonder if she ended up sunburned too. But that is one of my most vivid memories, and I don't have a picture of my album, but I have a picture of it in my brain. So here we just have some more kind of random London pictures. If you notice the other page I did back here, which was just random London pictures, I used the same paper and the same kind of cream colored background. And just kind of anytime I just had random pictures, I pulled that back in and scattered it throughout the book. Talked about my sister being a tour guide, some of the things we went and saw. Covent Garden, Trafalgar Square. My sister's is awesome. She knows all the stuff, and she's a great teacher and was like a walking encyclopedia. So this is my little niece, Alice. She was, I think, 4. Let's see if I remember to write that down. She's in preschool, and so she and I got to have a lot of time together. So here she is helping with my camera. This little dress had belonged to my daughter, Michelle, before we handed it down, and we took selfies and pictures. And so I just had fun with little Alice, who was not in school when all the others were. And yes, love that red hair. So jealous. If I could have red hair, I'd be super happy. Oh no, I thought that the second album was going to be Harry Potter, but here it is, Harry Potter Studio Tour. So all the rest of this book is going to be the Harry Potter Studio Tour. I did have some papers that I got somewhere from a scrapbook store, so a lot of that I used. But there's just not a lot of Harry Potter scrapbooking stuff out there. But thankfully, my pictures had enough stuff that I didn't need that. So this was from a picture, one of those pictures that you can buy on the trip, that and this. And then pictures of the chess pieces outside. I have no idea where some of these this is memorabilia. More secrets will be revealed. When you go into the lobby, around the ceiling soffit, they have all these pictures of the actors. And so I put that in here. Huge photos, like, 20 feet tall, just fantastic to look. Here's my little ticket. Costs £29. If you are going to this studio tour, you have to make a reservation. You have to buy your tickets in advance. There's not like an end time. So my advice is to get it as early as you think you can get there, so you can have as much time as you want there. So you start with the cupboard under the stairs before you even get to the official start. And it was very, very small. After passing the cupboard under the stairs, we watch a short film talking about the production of the movies, featuring the stars and directors. And then you go to the Great Hall, and this is so cool because this is the actual stage set where they filmed so much of the Harry Potter movies. It said that the floors are made of real flagstone. A lot of times movies like use painted wood or something like that, but they knew they'd have hundreds of people walking them over 7 movies, which then turned out to be 8. And these beautiful giant doors, and just to be walking in that actual space, you know, as a Harry Potter geek, that was totally geeky for me. And you can see that I found like a Harry Potter-esque font on dafont.com and used that for all the Harry Potter scenes. And pretty much the background papers, these actually might be CM background papers. I just used pretty neutrals. So, you know, like a little green floral, just gray. I mean, I didn't really have to use a lot of Harry Potter stuff. I mean, I could have. And looking back at this, the way I scrapbook today is a little bit different. But I think just, you know, having this background paper with a little texture, you know, it was just kind of textured paper, not textured in real life, but, you know, visually textured. And I just kind of used different colors all through the whole thing. I think it worked really well. Lots of costumes on display. They talk about the floating candles, how they originally had wanted to have these as real candles, but they kept burning through the wires. So they had to take those out. Potions classroom, you know, I got some pictures of myself. Mirror of Erised. This is my sister and I both taking our own pictures. And then here I found some silver metallic paper. And so I cut that into little squares to be on my Mirror of Erised page. This was the Gryffindor Tower set, so that was fun. They just kind of have these mannequins with some of the actual costumes, and you just walk through. It's like a big giant warehouse, this Harry Potter studio tour. This is a Gryffindor image that I found on online, and I just imported it in to make the cut and cut it out, and some Harry Potter stickers I had bought when I bought some of my Harry Potter papers. All right, Dumbledore's office. These are more of those stickers. I think it was like a big sticker sheet. Props. You see, I'm just not doing a whole lot with the background pages, but I did journal quite a bit. And, you know, just the pictures themselves have so much to look at that you don't need a lot of decorating on the page. But I did love having the colored backgrounds. I know that you could have, you know, just use a white background. I could have used black pages for all of these. That actually might have looked really cool to do black pages with the background. The Weasley's house, the chocolate feast from the Christmas ball, the costumes. This is the Slytherin image I found. Different costumes from the actors. Oh, I guess my other sister Kim was also with us, with me and Julie when we went to this. So this is definitely a Harry Potter paper, and it's the same paper. And so you can see what I did here is I covered up the words with pictures and showed like this corner, but then on this one, I covered up those and let the words show. And so I was able to use an identical 12 by 12 paper on 2 sides of a layout, which always makes me happy because sometimes it's really hard when you're doing a double page layout and you only have a single piece of paper, but luckily I had 2 of them. So this was fun. They have the green screen pictures. So here we are riding in the car and then riding on the brooms, and you got different angles. And of course I bought them. And they do take you behind a green screen so you don't see this, you know. And that's where I got the photo holder that I used back here, you know, because they put your picture in it. So I got that photo holder that I was able to use as part of my layout. So Ministry of Magic. This was really cool. This this sculpture from the Ministry of Magic. I've seen it in, you know, you see it in several of the movies, and it's made of foam, but you can't tell that. And of course, you don't touch it. But all this Ministry of Magic stuff was pretty fun. This is one of my favorite layouts because this is all the Dolores Umbridge stuff, and this is one of those quotes I've seen on Facebook before. It's so true, right? She was the worst, Dolores Umbridge. The kitten plates are in here, all her little outfits, and it talks about how Shades of Pink, it says, as she gained more and more power, her wardrobe got progressively pinker, which I had not noticed in the movies, but when you see all the outfits kind of close to each other, it's definitely true. So I got to use pink for this layout, which is great because I love pink in spite of Dolores Umbridge. All right, books and letters and stuff from the movie, you know, the newspapers and some of the books, the Marauders map, all those kind of cool things. The back lot. So I said the studio tour consists of 2 huge buildings with a large courtyard between them. We stopped for butterbeer and a hot dog before continuing our tour. So they had, I think they had warm butterbeer and cold. I, of course, got the one in the little mug. And then we got some just in the cheaper cup. There's the night bus. We got to look in it. We got to pose on it. Number 4 Privet Drive. You can go up and knock the door. Godric's Hollow. And again, these are such simple layouts, but I enjoy looking at them. I mean, I didn't even journal anything on these. That's all the journaling I did. If you know, you know, and if you don't know, you don't care. So I journaled about the creature shop where they do some of the special effects. I said it's the human head replicas that struck me. They look so realistic, especially the Hagrid head with eyes that move. It was cool but freaky, and it was cool but freaky to have Hagrid's head moving. And I wish that we would have had peekaboo pockets then, because this would have been an awesome one to do with a peekaboo pocket, because he, like, his eyes changed, and I had a couple different pictures of his eyes at a different angle. Diagon Alley. Again, no real, well, a little bit of journaling just after you come out of the creature shop, but just the pictures. And thankfully, most of my pictures were vertical. This one was not. This was horizontal. So I just trimmed it for what I needed and still was able to fit it in that vertical space. So the concept art, this was really cool. The concept art from the design of the movies. And so I took some of these pictures, I think this might be this picture, and I enlarged them to 12 by 12. So the background behind is a 12 by 12 photo enlargement of these papers. Let's see, this and this match. I don't know what this matches with. So maybe I didn't use all the concept art pictures. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's a great way to do it. I did then pop the title up on some foam squares. So if you can see that, there's a little texture to the title, and I traced around it with a silver pen because it got lost when I went to put it on. So this is actually popped up on some foam squares. And then here's just various art from the movie. You know, paintings, background paintings, concept art, you know, photographs, the Hogwarts architect. This statue would not feature in the books, was a new addition to the entrance hall in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So the white models, these were really cool. A whole room full of scale models of all the structures and sets in the movies. And I was fascinated by these. I love scale models. I love architectural models. I love cute, tiny stuff. I think I've told you that before. I lingered in here a really long time. And Julie said, we need to hurry. The best is yet to come. And oh my goodness, was she right? Because then you get to see the scale, the life-size scale model. I said the final spot is the huge room that holds the enormous scale model of Hogwarts. So, I mean, yeah, there's no journaling on this page because by this point I didn't have any words. You know, I put a bunch here, but the lights change, so you get the day and the night. This right here was worth my flight to England. I mean, it was awesome. As a Harry Potter fan, yeah, geek heaven for me to be here at the real Hogwarts and to get to see, you know, the chapel, the standing stones, walk around. It's like a little island, and you can walk all the way around it on 2 levels. There's like a ramp that goes up, and you go down at the bottom, you go up at the top. Super, super fascinating and so detailed, and I'm so glad they saved it. And if I remember right, the whole reason that they built this Harry Potter studio tour was because they couldn't bear to demolish this scale model that they used for filming a lot of those exterior shots. Absolutely fascinating to visit this scale model of Hogwarts. And on the way out, final stop was a gift shop where I somewhat uncharacteristically didn't buy a single souvenir. That is really not like me, but I didn't buy anything. But I have all these fabulous pictures, and if I had a souvenir, it would just be clutter. And instead, these are just here in my house. So, in my scrapbook. All right, you can see that this is a very thick book. I'm trying to make my albums not quite so thick anymore. You can see that it pulls the spine cover out a little bit. I do have a trick for that I'll show you in some future video. But that's volume 1, and I'll be back in a few days with volume 2. I'll go ahead and do all 3 of these like over the next week or so that you don't have to wait. And thanks again to Kelly Creates for reminding me that it has been quite a while since I've shared a scrapbook, a completed scrapbook. And hopefully I'll have some more recently completed scrapbooks to show you very soon. Thanks a lot, and happy scrapbooking.